All right, what is going on, everyone? I had to start the war room a bit early here today. Just going to make sure everything is working and make sure the audio and all that is good. So bear with me for 1 second while I check this. Let's see here. Test. Sweet. It is working. Now I just need to get the screen share going, and then we're all set. So let me do that. Let's get the daily up here. Share window. All right, that's not what I want. Hang on, guys. Hold on, we'll get there. You would think after this many live streams, I would know what I'm doing, but I don't. I'm a trader. I'm not a YouTuber. I'm working on trying to be a YouTuber. I'm just an amateur YouTuber. There we go. I think I got it. Let me see. That should pop up. Yeah, there we go. Woohoo! So, all right, who we got in the house? We got Chief is here, Paulo, Zoe. All right, Zoe's laughing at me. I'm trying. I got it here. All right. Well, welcome to the Wednesday War Room. I had to start a little bit early here today because I got to go pick up my kiddos from school. Mom wasn't able to, so Dad's got to take over and step in. So that's where I'll be headed here. So that's why I jumped on a few minutes early. But just want to take a look at what is happening right now in the markets, kind of check in midweek. We do the Sunday setup on Sunday where we kind of map out the week and what we're looking for. And then Wednesday, we kind of check in, take the pulse of where the market is, see where things are, look at the broader markets, look at some individual tickers. If you guys have questions, drop those there in the chat and I will get to those for you. But right now, just to kind of frame things where we are, we did hit all-time highs yesterday on the SPX. You could see this candle here, really nice, strong candle, got above this upper wick from December 26th. Nice big-bodied candle. And today, we're just getting a little bit of a retest. You got a little bit of a doji candle coming in right now. We did press higher, but those gains could not hold. And we've come down since a little bit. And we did get some data today. So if I just hop over here to the data that was shared, we did get ISM services PMI, which actually came in higher than what the expectations were. It was 54.4 versus 52.3, which basically says that the economy is holding in strong. It's picking up some steam, which can be semi-inflationary. And then when you look at the JOLTS job openings, you could see that came in less than what was expected, 7.6 million. It came in at 7.146. And so that shows us that the labor market is cooling off, which is a benefit for rate cuts. So you kind of it's almost like a Goldilocks scenario here with those two data points. And really the markets are wondering, all right, well, how do we digest this? And so that's why we're seeing a little tiny bit of indecision today. We do have a Fed speaker later on. And then Thursday, you're going to get initial jobless claims, but nothing else that's really going to move the market. But it's going to be Friday where you're going to get a boatload of data coming in here, building permits, housing starts, non-farm payrolls, unemployment rate. And then we'll have Michigan consumer sentiment and Fed President Neil Kashkari will be speaking, who he does have a hawkish leaning, just FYI, when he talks. So we still have a lot of data that's going to be coming in this week. And then next week, just to put this on your radar, next week is a big week because earnings starts. But the bigger part is we get CPI, our first inflation reading of the new year. I am fired up for that. That's going to be exciting. That's on Tuesday. Then we get PPI on Wednesday. Man, it's going to be fun. We get the big banks reporting next week. So a lot of data coming our way. And then the other thing to consider is that on Friday, apparently, the Supreme Court is going to make a ruling about whether or not Trump's tariffs are constitutional or not, whether they can stay implemented. And if they are ruled unconstitutional and they have to be removed, that could be a tailwind for the market. It could push it higher. But then you have another camp that says, well, if the tariffs are ruled unconstitutional, then does the U.S. have to reimburse the people who paid those tariffs? So, there's a lot of speculation and discussion. So pay attention to that for Friday, because that will definitely move the market quite a bit. Hey, Paul, how you doing? So that just kind of sets a stage for where we are. And let's just go ahead and look at the charts here. So we can see here on the SPX, like I said, new all-time high yesterday, new all-time high today here. And we just continue to push. And the Qs actually really got involved today. It has yet to fill the gap that was made back on November 3rd. We did get close to it today, but we couldn't quite get there. Now, we still have plenty of time before this day is over, so that could, in fact, happen. But you can see we just continue to make lower highs and higher lows. So there's a compression. It's almost a triangle pattern that's happening here, and we have to see which way are we going to break out, to the upside or to the downside. We don't know yet, but the Qs are definitely pushing here today. And then on the flip side, while the Qs are pushing, the Dow Jones Industrial, the DIA, is actually pulling back a bit after 3 strong pushes and 2 new all-time highs. You're getting a little bit of a retest, which is nothing out of the ordinary, completely natural. And then IWM made a nice push, really had 3 nice days in a row. You're getting a little bit of a retest today. And so it's really the Qs that are the winner so far today. And then we take a look at Bitcoin, which was pushing. It had this nice 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 green days in a row. It did drop pretty hard yesterday, got bought back up as indicated by that lower wick. But today, the selling pressure just is holding. I will say, however, we are above that 10-day exponential moving average. And so buyers did step in there. But the bulls, if they are really going to drive the price of Bitcoin higher, lift the crypto markets, this candle can't close like this, because that is a bearish engulfing candle. Again, the 10 is holding support there, but the buyers have to step back in. And if we just look at this, if we just look over to the left, we could see where the resistance is, where we're not able to get a close. If we just let me mark out these upper wicks from back in December into November, you could see that anytime we press above that price area, above 94,000, that the bulls can't get a close there. And until they do, it's probably going to be more of the same. But what I'm looking for is to see, all right, what transpires from here. New year, 2026. Bitcoin has been in a downtrend since making an all-time high on October 6th. Can they push out of here? You did have nice volume coming here over the weekend. We need to see a reversal. So this could just be some profit taking after this move higher, because that was quite the move from last Thursday up until Monday of this week. So it could just be a little bit of a retest, settling. The fact that it's holding that 10 is a positive sign, but let's see what happens here the rest of the trading day. And remember, crypto markets are 24/7. So a lot can happen on Bitcoin. So let's just go take a look at a few more. Let's take a look at what's happening with the VIX. The volatility index, you can see, what do we have here? We've got a little bit of a doji candle here. The 20 really held as a resistance point. So we pushed up into that 20. I wouldn't be surprised to see this thing roll over as some of the uncertainty flows out of the market. The US dollar is pushing. Again, that's a headwind for stocks, so you don't want to see that. And then the 10-year Treasury note dropped a little bit today, and that makes sense based off of the data that we got. So a little bit in the red here right now today. Completely normal after the push that we've had up, the new all-time highs. You have people that are pulling some profits off the table, to be expected. But really, we're setting up for the start of a new earnings season. And there's a company reporting today at close, APLD, definitely going to be watching that one to see what happens. But really, next week, earnings are going to kick off with the big banks, and then Netflix on the 20th of January. And then you'll get into all the mega cap tech, which is going to be a lot of fun. So I am currently in a day trade right now on CRCL that is losing. It is what it is. You're going to have losing trades. So I still have time to manage it. And let's see if we can get a pop in the crypto space. But that trade for me is down, but I've been on a tear so far this month. So this will be my first loss of the year. But trading, remember, if you're going to trade, you're going to lose. So you have to become a gracious, good loser. So I'm trying to keep that mindset here with that trade that I have open today. So let's just go through and take a look at what is happening with the big boys, the Mag 9. So Broadcom today had a big dump at the open here. You could see, bam, this thing just smashed lower, but buyers did step in and push this thing right back up. So that's good to see that there is still interest in Broadcom after that big gap down that it had off of earnings. And really, it's just kind of moving sideways at this point, very, very far off of its all-time highs. But it's been struggle busing here lately. If we go back and look at that gap down, they reported earnings December 11th. You can see that it's really just kind of consolidating on that 100-day simple moving average and the point of control. You have a big old volume node here on the VRVP. Let's see if this one eventually wants it to get a lift. I see that Paula requested here, Sound, RR, Wolf, and Plug. Let's just go look at those instead of me just looking at the Mag 9. So let's go take a look at Sound first. Let's see. Good old Sound. Here we go. So what I'm going to do here on Sound is go over to the weekly because there was an old trend line on the daily that was invalidated. But we do have this trend line that came into play back in 2024 that really has served as a bouncing spot, and we've hit it multiple times. You could see dating back to February 5th, 2024, August 5th, 2024, multiple touch points in 2024 before that big lift in December. Then once again, last April with the Liberation Day tariff lows, push back up, and then it came down and nearly touched that trend line again on December 29th. I don't think it exactly touched it. It got very close, but we are getting a little bit of a bounce here on SoundHound. And again, this is a trend line on the weekly time frame. And you do have a nice little setup here. We are, for right now, above that 20 EMA on the daily. You are sitting right on the point of control, that volume node. But notice you've got the 200 right here sitting. And you also have the 50, and watch this 50 because it looks like it wants to come down and cross through that 200. So that could be a death cross on SoundHound. That could be a little bit of some downward pressure. However, from my experience, and I was saying this last night in class, that the death cross is somewhat of a lagging indicator, and it typically occurs after the biggest move down has already occurred. So we'll see. There might be a little bit more movement to the downside left here on SoundHound. But this is actually a decent setup with the daily candle that is forming here today. So what is the next one? We have RR. Let's take a look at RR. Rich Tech Robotics. So this one, man, this one just pushed up. This is when everything was ripping from July into the fall. And then really mid-fall is when all the high beta speculative stocks just really took a nosedive, and RR was part of that. Came down, nice little head and shoulders pattern here, found a little bit of a bounce off of the 200. Now, let's take a look at this because you do have a nice little double bottom pattern shaping up here. This is actually a pretty well-defined double bottom. And notice how all those moving averages are converging together and are squeezing the price action. This is one that you'd want to keep an eye on. But notice you've got the 50-day simple moving average, the 100-day simple moving average above you. You're going to have to clear both of those in order for this thing to run. And also look here on the VRVP, you have quite a bit of volume here up through 460. So in order for this thing to get back up to $6, $7, it's got to break that 460 with strength, which would be right where that neckline is on that double bottom. So The high beta stuff has to get going. Soundhound's in that group. We haven't seen full risk on there yet, but it's definitely worth keeping an eye on. And yes, everyone does. Everyone does love sound. Yeah, and Paula, you're right. We still don't know who they made the deal with. If it's a Walmart or something like that, and that leaks and comes out into the public, that will be huge. So that's one thing we could do when we're out at Walmart. Keep your eyes open for the Rich Tech Robotics logo on some of their autonomous cleaners, and that could be, we might break a story there and cause a ripper. So, all right, I'm going to keep moving here because, like I said, I got to grab my little ones. Let's go take a look at Wolf. So I looked at this one on the Sunday setup. Nice little double bottom here off of the 100 simple day moving average. And this thing did push up here on Monday into the 50. Yesterday, dropped down into the 10, retested the 10, got a nice push up, but again, was rejected off the 50 again. And today got dropped down to the 10, sitting right on the point of control, this volume node. So this one still has a chance to get moving. It just has to break this 50. And you can see above this 50, it does have room up to about 1471 before it's going to face some significant resistance where you'd probably chop a little bit. And then if it could push through that, then maybe it could challenge for new all-time highs. And let's go take a look at PLUG, Plug Power. You know what's crazy? Let me just look at this on the monthly here. Plug Power, it's all-time high. If you go way back, look at this. $1,555.72. Is that crazy? I don't know if it's ever going to see that again. But it doesn't have to make money. But again, just like a lot of those high beta speculative stocks that we've been talking about, RR, Soundhound, same kind of thing. Pushed up, and this probably got dropped in mid-October, beginning of October. Yep, right. Head and shoulders down to the 200. A little bit of a double bottom. What I like here about Plug is you have a lower low, higher low double bottom. Here's your neckline. But notice this thing is above all of its moving averages here. So you're actually right on that point of control. If this thing could push, get a positive catalyst, this thing could run. And by run for Plug, we're talking $3, $4. But keep an eye on this. This chart looks nice. There's a clear path here above with no resistance above it. All right. So Paul says he's calling his wife right now to go to Walmart. Take a picture to put that stuff on X, man. You'll be breaking news. You'll blow up, right? So, and let me know first before you post it, because I'll go grab a couple thousand shares, and then we can moon it together. So, all right, let's take a look at Zeta and grab, and then I'm going to have to hop off here. So Zeta Global Holdings. I remember looking at this maybe a few months back. Oh, this is a nice move here on Zeta. I've never traded this stock before, but just kind of, if I'm zooming out here, something that jumps out to me longer term is I'm seeing inverted head and shoulders pattern here. And it looks like we have a little bit of a breakout happening right now after a period of some sideways consolidation here. So let's just kind of zoom in on what's happening. Yeah, so nice gap up here yesterday on good volume. Look at that nice volume that came in. And so we're selling down a little bit. That's to be expected, some profit taking. But this one will probably trade inside of this candle here over the next few days. So just expect some chop inside of here before it decides what its next move is. But that's a pretty strong gap up. And so you probably have a lot of trap bears. So after a little bit of sideways movement, this thing could continue to push up. And as we could see here, if we look to the left, it has been much higher before. So that chart actually looks pretty clean. And then the last one, let's take a look at GRAB, Grab Holdings Limited. I don't think I've ever looked at this chart, but I love looking at charts, so this is fun. Let me just check to see what the all-time high is on this guy. All-time high, 1805. And so let's see what we got going on here today. So again, same kind of thing when we're looking at RR, Soundhound, Plug Power, all those things. Big push up, and then probably October 6th or 7th, boom, this thing started coming down, double top pattern, retested the neckline, dropped down, and same thing, finding support on the 200. Hasn't fully collapsed below that 200. Right now is above it, but notice you have the 50 here that is acting as resistance. Above that, you have the 100. So you're going to need to defeat these nemesis here, the 50 and the 100, in order for a move higher. So that's what I would be watching here. And then if you can clear those, you have room up to this 597 area, point of control on the VRVP. So Zoe says, I have an option on it until March, not sure how long I should hold. On Zeta, well, you're probably pretty profitable right now. So, you know, my thing is always lock in profit. And even if it runs without you and you miss out on more of a move, if you captured a gain, then you got to be happy with that, because what can happen, some crazy negative catalyst can come and dump the markets and then pull your gains down. So you can never go wrong by locking in a gain, and then just stack the wood, right? Get some profits, stack it, get another trade, stack your win. They don't have to be big wins, but over the course of 252 days, when you're stacking small winners over time, that's what's going to lead to profitability. So, all right, guys. Well, I would stay on here longer. One more check of broader markets. We're still in the red a little bit. We've got about 1 hour and 2 minutes left to go. I appreciate you guys joining me here for Rachel. You are welcome. Joining me here for the War Room, and for everyone who's in the New Year Wealth Accelerator. You guys have been great. I'm looking forward to class here tonight. We'll be back next week with another War Room. I'll have the Sunday setup coming this Sunday. So if you have a ticker that you want me to look at, just go ahead and put the comment on any of the videos that I have on the YouTube channel, a driven episode, and I'll make sure that that is covered on this Sunday. But for now, that is going to do it for the War Room. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and I will see you next week. All right, take care, guys.